A very good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome to MentorED, a live workshop series presented by Dutch Uncles. Today, we have with us our mentor, Mr. Samir Kaul. He's an entrepreneur, market leader, and a speaker. Thank you so much for joining us today. I request you to kindly take over the show.
Thank you, Kannan. It's a real good opportunity to be here, and thank you for having me on board. And I think the topic for today's discussion is on scaling up. Scale your business, and it's all about growth and it's all about profitability. So I'll just take. I think we have half an hour, right? So
Yes.
I'll try to have as much as we can. And half an hour is actually a little less, but we'll try to accommodate whatever we can. So this is all based on practical experience. This is all based on my around 24, 25 years in working in 6, 7 market leader brands. So this is all through experience. It's more practical, less theoretical, and practical ways of looking at scaling up, practical ways of looking at growth, whether growth itself is required, whether growth is a good thing, whether growth is not a good thing. What are the commandments of scaling up? What is the framework? What do you look at when you're scaling up? I think so. This discussion will be mostly from a practical point of view. So the first thing is it really important to scale? Because sometimes out of nostalgia, we like that we have 10 employees or 50 employees or 100 employees in our company. So that's mostly from nostalgia. But whether bigger is better is the question, or whether bigger denotes success is the moot point. Whether bigger is a destination or whether bigger is a strategic intent of a company, or it's something which emanates from a strategic reason to get bigger. These are two different issues. So a lot of times owners of businesses or small businesses who have moved from 0 to 1 or 0 to 5 but would like to scale from 5 to 10 or 5 to 50 are always embroiled in this kind of a trade-off, whether they should grow or whether they should not grow, and they're always in that kind of a dilemma, and they always feel it's better to sometimes satisfy the ego of the business owner himself, or out of competition or out of one-upmanship, that we want to scale up the business or we want to grow the business. So the first thing is bigger is not always better. And so it's like, metaphorically, I can say, like, for example, if Harvard Business School or if Oxford University were to open 100 campuses all across the world, recruit thousands of teachers, thousands of professors, would their quality be better? Would they do a better job? Definitely no. Because the focus on quality, the focus on exclusivity, to focus on building a brand gets diluted. So in certain businesses, in certain business situations, bigger makes sense. But in all businesses, bigger may not be the right strategy for a company. So that's the first myth I wanted to bust. So bigger is not always necessarily important. But yes, definitely the purpose of business is to scale. The purpose of business is to grow. So we will look at those things also in that. So a size which is right for one company may not be the size which is right for some other company. Sometimes we have even heard big businesses saying that we always wanted to be more flexible. We always wanted to be more nimble-footed. That's because they know the power of being small. There is a lot of power in being small, a power of being flexible, a power of being nimble-footed, agile. Because when you're smaller, you can adapt to the market forces. But once you're a bigger company, sometimes it becomes difficult to scale up. And scaling up comes with its own baggage. Scaling up comes with its own kind of areas where it becomes difficult to adapt the business. So ramping up should never be the goal. Ramping up should only come into the question when ramping up makes strategic sense, when ramping up is the outcome, when when it's viable to ramp up. So ramping up is not a destination by itself, but ramping up is a means to an end. Then if a business has to move from 5 to 10, it's already moved from 0 to 5. But if it's moved to 5 to 10, then you have to look at all the dimensions of how you have to ramp up, whether you need width or whether you need depth. There are two different perspectives of growing or scaling up. Scaling up could mean a lot of things. So I'll come to that also, what scaling up actually means. So ramping up is never a viable, it has to be a viable, a profitable opportunity. So the first thing of a business when they're scaling up is to have an opportunity mindset. As we sometimes say, it's never about being lucky, but it's always about not being lucky to get an opportunity, but in fact, you have to seize an opportunity and then get lucky. As someone rightly said, you have to start learning to get lucky. There's nothing called luck in business, but there are ways of becoming lucky in business, and that's a mindset, and that's an opportunistic mindset, which is very important for any entrepreneur who's moved from 0 to 5 or 0 to 10 and wants to now move from 5 to 50 or 10 to 100. So having an opportunistic mindset involves four kind of situations to traverse through. First is to create the conditions, to create the groundwork, to create the platform for attracting opportunities to you. And second is to spot those opportunities. So first is to create the groundwork for these opportunities. Second is to spot the opportunity. Now, I'm sure you have heard about a person called Peter Thiel who wrote this famous book, 0 to 1. It's a bestseller in New York Times bestseller and bestseller in most of the countries. And Peter Thiel was the first person who ever invested in Facebook, if you people know. So Peter Thiel is one of the biggest success stories of Silicon Valley. I mean, every business he is invested in became a billion-dollar business. So Peter Thiel wrote this book, and Peter Thiel had what we call as a skill, which is called now by management people as a perceptual acuity. Perceptual acuity is the skill to spot opportunities. So it's a different kind of a skill, and you can develop that skill. It's called perceptual acuity, and Peter Thiel had it, and a lot of people in business, a lot of entrepreneurs have to have it if they really want. So it's about spotting opportunities. For example, spotting the right kind of business, or spotting a trend, or spotting something that is tomorrow, it's going to be something which will become a big advantage. For example, we are in a pandemic situation now. So a lot of entrepreneurs are thinking, because whatever pandemic may have done, it's pandemic also for an entrepreneur, pandemic will also unleash a lot of opportunities. And so spotting those opportunities is the second step. Third is to assess the opportunity. Just because an opportunity has knocked doesn't mean that's the right opportunity for you. As I said, what is right for you may not be right for someone else. So you have to really do due diligence. You have to see, if I scale up, or if this opportunity is knocking and I have a possibility of scaling up, what would be how would my profit and loss statement look like? So the financial part of business is very important. A lot of times entrepreneurs scale up, and then they realize as they scale up, their costs start actually becoming a bigger problem. They acquire a lot of customers, but their profitability starts going down. So the bottom line gets impacted. That's because the business model has not accommodated that financial prudence inside it. So due diligence is very important. So you have to look at profitability, look at your costs, look at your cash flows. Just scaling up is never the destination. I know a lot of entrepreneurs who've raised $1 million valuations and raised so much money, and they've gone bust because their growth actually became their biggest impediment. Because with growth, you can have a lot of baggage, and you recruit, you increase the size of your teams, you open so many centers, you open so much of retail, that sometimes you get crushed inside your own infrastructure. So you have to really assess it whether that's the right opportunity. And then once you know that it's the right opportunity, you have to go and seize it. And these four things are very important. And so opportunity always comes when your preparation meets opportunity. That's basically when the success will come. And if the opportunity knocks, you should never be putting your sunshades down. If the window of opportunity is knocking at your door, don't put the sunshades down. You have to look at that opportunity, because opportunities will not knock too many times. So a little bit on opportunity, because an entrepreneur for scaling up needs to be able to spot opportunities and be able to differentiate what's right and what's not right. So starting small. So as a thumb rule, and as a area of wisdom, what we have seen, and especially I've worked with so many companies and I've led so many businesses, I think it's always better to start small. Even if you are, say, a 50 crore company or a 100 crore company, and you've got the traction, or you're a 5 crore company, or even a small company which is 3 crores wants to scale up. So this discussion basically will try to accommodate all types of sizes of companies who want to scale up. So it could be a company who wants to scale up from 50 lakhs of revenue, or a company that wants to scale up from a 5 crore revenue to 50 crore, or a company wants to scale up from a 50 crore to 500 crore. So the practicalities, the practical areas that I'm going to talk about will look at all these permutations. So it's not only for some companies, or these are generally what will hold true for all type of companies. So you have to start small, and you have to monopolize in that market in which you are. It's always better to go from inside to outside. You monopolize a certain market, and then you move out and take a bigger geography and all that. So it's always better to start from a small geography and then slowly expand from that geography and monopolize that market. There is no point in going at same time in 10 places, and that's the mistake a lot of entrepreneurs have burned their fingers with. They have expanded, they've got the money from venture capitalists, private equity, and then they are not able to bring growth, and their growth is not profitable. And to get that, they again raise money, and they again raise money, and it's like a vicious circle. And every time they raise money, they start diluting their own equity, and they hardly remain as entrepreneurs. They in fact become like salaried people, because the moment you raise money, you are actually diluting your own equity. So you have to really walk a balance between growth and what looks to be the right road. So definitely one should start small, and one should design scale from the start itself. That if I have to scale up, and I'll go through those 5 commandments that I am presenting today. Those 5 commandments are like your litmus test, which you have to look at if you want to scale up. So you have to keep that 5 things in your mind, because they will help you to be at the right road for success. Because the road to success is both fast lane and slow lane. So and successful lane, and a lane that is not so successful. And we have seen that 95% of the startups fail because they think they are on the right road, but actually they are not on the right road. So these 5 commandments that I'm going to bring will help the entrepreneurs to remain on the fast lane and the road to success. So it's like, if a road starts in Chicago and heads east, there's no way you're going to hit Las Vegas. Or if a road starts from Delhi and hits north, it's no way that you're going to hit Bangalore or Mumbai, because the road, the direction that you're taking from beginning is not destined to help you achieve your goals. So build those 5 commandments that I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to tell you the first thing, what I call as the law of affection. You would heard about law of attraction, and these days there is a lot of self-help books that are doing the rounds. So law of attraction says thoughts become things. If you think positively, you get positive kind of vibes and all that. That's all okay, but that's more nostalgic. So law of affection is the main premise of law of affection is that if you want to make millions, you got to impact millions of customers. So that's the first thing. If you want to scale up and want to impact millions, you're going to look at impacting millions to start becoming a millionaire. So the first thing is to ignite a business plan that will help you to achieve your law of affection. So the first thing in that first commandment that I'm going to talk about is what is called as the commandment of control, the first C. So it's a cents framework. Cents like money, cents, CENTS. So it's a litmus test to help you validate whether you are on the right road and on the right road for success. So your scaling up is on the right road. It's a fast lane for success. So it's a cents framework, CENTS, that I'm going to present. The first thing is like a commandment of control, the first C. So a lot of times we have seen that the promoter starts the business, he raises money, he brings private equity people, and in the process, he dilutes his equity. So he is not in control of the business. In fact, he's the promoter. So there is a difference by being a business owner and having control on the business. So business is on many parts. You can be the owner of the business, someone can have the possession of the business, and someone can have the control of the business. There are 3 different things. So the first commandment is the commandment of control, which says if you're a business owner, you're going to be on the driver's seat all the time. You cannot be a hitchhiker. You have to have control over the revenues, over the strategy of the company, over the whole business plan, and that control is very important, because if you don't have that control, you are not a entrepreneur, but you are actually masquerading as an entrepreneur, but you are like a self-employed person. And we always see that a lot of people are self-employed, but they are masquerading as entrepreneurs and all that. So you're going to be a driver. If you're an owner, you're going to have control, and if you have a control, you're a driver of the business. So as an entrepreneur, the first C is to have control, to be a driver of the business. So drivers create companies, they don't join companies. So drivers sell franchisees, they don't buy franchisees. Drivers don't join the hottest trends. Drivers create the hottest trends. They serve the hottest trends. So it's a mindset. If you're owner of the company or an entrepreneur, you have to think like a driver. You have to have that control over the business. You shouldn't be diluting your equity. You should be calling the shots, whether it's revenue, whether it's business plan, whether it is talent, whether it is strategy. Raising money is not about growth. Having control over the business is the first thing that a lot of promoters and a lot of entrepreneurs are losing out these days. So the first commandment of scaling up, which you have to build from the design stage, is to have control. The second commandment is of entry. You don't want to join an industry where it's already cluttered. When someone says we are in a business that's, everyone is doing that, or this business, everyone is doing that business, that's the first red flag. You don't want to be in an industry where thousands and millions of people are entering, because you will not get that, monopoly in that business, or you will not be able to build a moat. Building a moat around business is very important if you really want to make it big. So the commandment of entry talks about building a business that gives you some core competency, gives you, either it is through your proprietary technology, or either it gives you economies of scale as you grow. A lot of companies, when they grow, they in fact increase their cost. It has to be the opposite of that. It has to be the converse of that. If you're growing, if you're scaling up, the whole purpose of scalability, which is important for a business, is to help your fixed cost get spread. Your marginal cost starts becoming better. You get economies of scale. So your unit cost should start going down and not keep on increasing, because then growth is actually becoming a burden. So growth has to be profitable. Scaling up has to be profitable. So you need to have a business where you have some barriers or some moat. Now, I'm not talking from being a monopoly kind of a thing, but for example, Google, the way their algorithms are, they have a proprietary technology which is 100x. No one can just become a Google or a Facebook or a LinkedIn or a Swiggy tomorrow, or a McDonald's or any company that has made it big, because either you have a proprietary technology, or you have network effects. You're impacting millions. Your business gives you that network effect, like we have seen in Facebook, and we see in a lot of businesses which have that scale, which have that magnitude. Or you build a brand, which is very important, because it's very difficult for someone else to suddenly becoming a McDonald's or someone. You can be a small company, but you have to put these things right from the rudimentary stage of putting focus on proprietary technology, putting focus, or have network effects, or have economies of scale, or have a lot of focus on brand, on positioning yourself, in differentiating itself. So you have to create that moat, you have to create that barriers to entry, which is very important. You can't just be doing the same thing and think that I just want growth. So growth is not a strategy, growth is a mindset. It needs a lot of business acumen to start thinking about growth. The second commandment is about entry. The third commandment is about a need. Now, need is very important. So it's a proposition of being outside inside. So you always start a business by thinking about customers and then looking at growth and looking about launching products or scaling up. You don't scale up something and then start looking for customers. That's an inside-outside mindset. That's an old school mindset. The new school mindset talks about outside-inside perspective, which is called as a customer-based business strategy, an outside-inside perspective to strategy. You have to look at your customers. You have to look at the needs. What needs are unmet in the market? What needs are phantom in the market? Is there a service gap? Is there a pain which is not getting addressed? Is there a pain point? Is there an emotional disconnect? Look at these perspectives and then start working on those, whether it's a pain point or whether it's an emotional disconnect or whether it's a service gap. You have to have some differentiator. You cannot be a table stake and think about growth. You will not do well. It will just be a burden on you to raise money and to scale up. Scaling up requires some strategic kind of mindset also. So it's very important to think about needs. So as I said, there is no point in chasing money. The moment you start chasing money, the money will start eluding you. So you move from also something which is your passion. When I speak about passion, I'm not talking about something that you like. Liking something and having passion are two different things. Sometimes we are interchangeably using these words of liking something, or you should do something that you like. A lot of management gurus and a lot of these business gurus will say you do something that you like. No, you don't have to do something that you like, because thousands of people can be liking something. You have to do something that you're passionate about. And passion and liking are two different things. When you're passionate about something, there is a strong why in what you're doing it. It could be a mission, it could be a purpose, it could be a belief, it could be a cause. It's the why. It's a larger purpose of why you're doing it. It's something for which you can struggle. It's something that you can face hardships for. So passion is a very strong position or a strong mindset than just merely liking something and all that. So look at passion. Now have a why in the business, because at the end of the day, companies that have done well focus on why. Focus on why is very important, not on the hows and whats. So why is a larger purpose. It could be a belief, it could be a cause, it could be a mission. So why is very important. For example, the why of Apple was to empower the emotional spirit. It's to empower the human spirit. And computers and technology and software, just the hows and the whats. So they never talked about advertising products, or any good company that is worth the salt and that is moving the needle today has a very strong why. The why has to be something that dictates the business. Then you come to the how of the business. The how of the business is the actions that you will take to achieve your why. So how is just a means to an end, and your what are the results of those actions that you take. So a business has to move from why to how and then to what. 99% times businesses are moving today from what to how and then to why. So it's always about selling products. The why philosophy is the biology of the business. The why philosophy of business is not about selling the product or selling the what's and the hows. The why philosophy is about why of a business, is to find the why of your business. And your why and an entrepreneur's why has to meet. That there has to be intersection between your why and the entrepreneur's why, because the entrepreneur then will go on a long road to ensure. Otherwise, a lot of entrepreneurs give up because it's not their why. And they're doing it because it's a hot trend. So everyone is doing it and they are doing it. As I said, that should not be in the second commandment I told you, that should not be the reason. Just because everyone is doing it, you don't have to do it. So very strong need and a very strong passion is very important. So then there is a fourth thing which differentiates a business owner from a job seeker. A lot of times an entrepreneur is these days masquerading as an entrepreneur, but he's got himself into a job. So an entrepreneur, a business owner, has to have control over time. If you're working for someone, you don't have control on time. You are trading your time for money. So you have no control on time. When you are an entrepreneur, you have to control time. Time, you shouldn't be working for time. Time should be working for you. That's a big mindset. When you are an entrepreneur, time should be working for you. You shouldn't be working for time. If you are spending all the time in your business, you will not be able to scale it up. Then you have found yourself a job, but you're masquerading as an entrepreneur. That's a different mindset. We see a lot of these retailers, shopkeepers, they're 90% involved in their business. And that is why they build the business so dependent on them that they are not able to scale. They're not able to ramp up, because obviously they cannot do everything themselves because of that hunger, because of that dependency on the business, or because they are not able to delegate, or because they are not able to trust. They become small business people who can at the most run one shop, but they cannot expand, because if you have to expand, you have to have control over your time. In fact, you should be able to make money while you sleep, as the metaphor goes. A good business has to be a good business system. It shouldn't be dependent on a person. You shouldn't be spending your time for it. Yes, you should be involved, but you're not trading your time for it. Time should be in your control. So you should be making money while you sleep. Metaphorically, this is being reiterated so that your business model is based on scalability. That as you scale, it's not that your time keeps on getting multiplied, because you cannot do everything. So you have to bring delegation, but you have to bring your business model in such a way. If your business model doesn't allow you for scalability, if your business model doesn't allow you to delineate your time from your whatever you're doing, your business is at the most going to be small and will never ramp up. So time is very important. The last thing is scalability. You have to build a business that you are able to scale up. And you can only scale up if you have reach and you have magnitude. So reach and magnitude are two different facets. Reach is For example, the number of units you sell. So you should be able, as I said, the law of affection says you have to be able to impact millions if you want to make millions. So reach is very important, the number of units you sell. But the second thing which is equally important is the magnitude, is what is the profit per unit. A lot of times we see the reach is there, but the magnitude is not there. So the number of units are increasing, but the unit profitability keeps on depleting. The unit profitability keeps on degrading. So that's not a business with scalability, because if you have to have scale, you have to have both reach and magnitude. So reach is about number of units sold and magnitude is about unit profitability. So it's very important not to get a false sense of scale, but to build these 5 commandments into your business model right at the inception stage. And you should look at your business whether it is able to satisfy these 5 commandments. These 5 commandments that I have presented today as the sense framework: the commandment of control, the commandment of entry, the commandment of need, the commandment of time, and the commandment of scale, is called the sense framework. CENT, sense as in money. This commandment is like your litmus test, and you have to build it in the design stage itself. Look at any business. If you're a restaurateur, you have to look at whether if I be able to, how does my sense framework look? A lot of times we see a lot of business are doing well on control and on entry, but they're not doing well on time and on scale. I would say at least a business out of 5, they should be able to have at least 3 or 4, in their favor. Because if a business has 4 commandments are not in favor, you can at the most you cannot scale up. You can at the most remain a small business, but you can never scale up to having the aspiration to ramp up your business. And the other thing that I want to tell you today is about a matrix which is called a CN analysis, which is a strategic framework that I will be talking about. Kanan, if you can just put that, please. Can we expand this? So I hope everyone can see it. So this is basically like a strategic framework, what is called as a CN framework. It is a 2x2 grid. It has 4 quadrants. It has customer and needs, two parameters, customer and needs. And customer is both existing and new customer, and needs are both existing and new customer. So these are 4 quadrants. So a business, when it's scaling up, has to see, for example, the first quadrant is existing customers, existing needs. So all businesses actually start from here: existing customers, existing needs. So you have your existing customers and you have your existing needs. For example, if you're a restaurant that is selling, for example, a chicken burger, and your existing customers are in Gurgaon, for example, or in Delhi. So you have some customers around that colony and you're selling some product. So you got your existing customers and you got your existing needs. Now, if you have to scale up, you have 2 options. In fact, 3 options. The first option is existing customers but new needs. So the same customers, you can add your test menu. You can add your menu. You were selling chicken burger, but to your same customers, you can add a biryani, you can add a milkshake, you can add a pizza. So you are increasing the width of your business. It's more about depth. You are serving the same customers, but you're adding the number of products. You're serving more needs. So it's existing customers, but serving more needs. That's one strategic framework. That's one strategic intent that you can embark upon. You can also embark on a strategic framework, which is same needs. You are selling chicken burger. You keep on selling chicken burger, but you increase your geography. You were selling chicken burger in Delhi or in Bangalore, but now you start selling chicken burgers in 5 cities, but you're still selling chicken burger. But what you have done, you're serving the same need, but you're addressing to a larger geography. That's also a way of looking at scale. The first framework was that you serve the same customers, but increase the number of needs. The second framework is you increase the number of customers, but save the same number of needs. One is talking about width, one is talking about depth. When you talk about scaling up, you have 2 dimensions in front of you. Either you can go deep in a city and serve more needs with the same customers, or you can go to more cities with the same need. So either you can talk about width or you can talk about depth. So either you can go vertically down or you can go horizontally, broad. So depth and being broad and being deep are two different things. You can also talk about going to new customers and new needs. A lot of times we have seen these multinational companies, they start entering a new market and they adapt and start bringing new needs also, which they then adapt to a new environment. When Amazon, for example, when Jeff Bezos started Amazon, they were a bookstore initially. When Jeff Bezos saw the opportunity, he knew about Barnes and Nobles. There was a big bookshop in US called Barnes and Nobles, which was in book selling business, and they were the market leaders. But Barnes and Nobles didn't have that commandment of scale, that last commandment that I talked to you about, scale. They didn't know how they will, keep inventory at so many places, how they will scale. They were at the good as retailers having few showrooms, but they were not able to scale up because then you have to keep so much of inventory and each book and each author. So it would become a nightmare. So the business didn't have scale. The business didn't have that kind of a commandment. So Jeff Bezos saw that opportunity and he started, going deep in that. He started cataloging these books. He started talking and he started getting into an IT kind of a mindset where he knew where the book is lying and he would sell those books. And Barnes and Nobles was practically wiped out. And after a few years, then he did what is the depth kind of a need that I talked about. He didn't only restrict his business to books, but he started selling CDs, he started selling software, he started serving more needs. He didn't restrict his business to book, he brought more needs into the picture. And today, as the word, as is Amazon stands for everything, because Amazon is so large as a business. And that's the reason why he called his business Amazon. Amazon was not the first name of his business. It was a different name about his business. So Amazon came from a mindset that I will keep everything and that everything will be accessible. And that online model came. So it really depends on what kind of needs are you serving. So when you look at strategy, you can either look at, you have to look at the commandments, whether your business has those prerequisites to scale. Just by, growing and then withdrawing, and then by a lot of times we see businesses grow and then they start divesting. So there's no point of investing and then divesting. So you have to grow only when it's viable. When you look, you got a differentiator. When you see your business is scalable. When you know as a business owner, your time is not attached to the business. You are involved, but your time is not attached, because then you will not succeed. Because you have to have scale. You should be able to, your business should be a business system. It should not be dependent on an owner. And then you have to scale up. Either you can go wide or either you can go deep. So I will just sum up and say, if the window of opportunity comes to you, don't pull the shades down. This is what Tom Peters said. Or I will prepare and someday my chance will come. Abraham Lincoln said that. If the opportunity does not knock, you build a door. As Milton Berle said it. So have an opportunistic mindset, which is an entrepreneurial mindset. Look at growth from a strategic point of view. Look at whether your business is ready for growth. And don't do what 100 of people are doing. Look at your business. Growth may be good for you, but exclusivity may be good for someone else. Use these frameworks. Use these commandments. Look at growth in this kind of a strategic perspective. Look at your cash flows. Look at your profit and loss statement before growing and see whether your business is sustainable. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a wonderful session and definitely it was very insightful. Now, moving on to our Q&A session, we have received many questions from our viewers across Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So the first question we will go ahead with, how do I identify customer needs?
So now, for example, first of all, you have to start having conversations with your customers. Now, for example, if you're a company who has, for example, 50,000 customers, you have to have meaningful conversations with you. And if you have meaningful conversations with you, you will see that the customer of your business wants something else. But the business is not able to provide that. For example, customer feedback. And that's why we are talking about analytics these days. So you have a lot of data, but data does nothing in business. You have to turn data into insights. For example, I come from healthcare business. Many years back, we looked at data and we found that there is a test called vitamin D. It sells so much because there is a need of vitamin D in the market, because every Indian is vitamin D deficient. I'm talking about healthcare as a perspective. Vitamin D deficient. So why not build a product around vitamin D? And it became a bestseller. A restaurant business, for example, may get a feedback that, that they should have something for Sundays or Saturdays, because the crowd in that market is free on Saturdays and Sundays. Probably they should have a buffet on Saturday or Sunday. Some other business may get that. So the idea is not just to have conversations, but to slice customer needs. You have to go deep inside the customer needs. This framework is called an outside inside mindset. I am Ahmedabad, where I had the opportunity to go and get into that kind of a submarine mode of strategizing. We there is a course in IIM Ahmedabad called as outside inside thinking, where you go into a submarine mode, you slice the customer needs, you look at the needs that are not being satisfied in the market. You have to look at those pain points. If you are able to address those pain points, you can do it. Google does it all the time. Sundar Pichai is known to, for example, Google Maps came from Sundar Pichai's own hassle, when his wife told him that one day, and it's a legendary fact, that you're not coming home every day, and he was stuck in traffic or something. Then he called all his team and said, let's have a map. Whether you're walking or whether you're in a car or whether you're in a plane, your Google Maps will tell you the shortest way home or the shortest path to your destination. That came from a very general conversation. So as I said, an entrepreneur should be able to spot an opportunity. That is what is called as a perceptual equity. Now that's a business acumen. That's a wisdom that comes from years of training and years of spending time with people who have that wisdom. So as they say in business, you're as good as the 5 people you spend your time with. Entrepreneurs need to surround themselves with great people. They need to surround themselves with people who have done it. They should surround themselves with the right kind of environment. That environment is very important, because you will get ideas and you will look at growth. For example, this session is about growth, so I will restrict it to that. You have to look at growth in that way. You have to slice the customer needs and think outside inside. Don't build products and then start selling to customers. Look at what the needs are there in the market, what are unmet, what is the problem you're trying to solve. Look at customer needs and then start developing products. So you think of needs and then develop products. That's the new mindset. That's the new school. The old school was develop product and let the salespeople go with this bag in there and start selling. That's an inside-outside mindset. The new mindset is start sensing needs, start spotting opportunities, and then build products. So needs will build products. The products will not be finding customers. So inside outside has to become outside inside. So you have to invert your thinking.
Right. Thank you so much. So we will move on to our next question. The next question is, what does control mean in the business setting?
For example, I know a lot of promoters who started their businesses. They started a private limited company. I'm not going to name people. I have seen from my experience and all that. Of course, I've worked in very big companies, but I'm talking about small entrepreneurs. They've reached out to me all the time. Entrepreneurs, small ones, 10 crore, 20 crores, they reach out to me. So they started their businesses, they raised money, and they started their business with 90% of equity in their business, and they kept on raising money. Today they are 10% of that equity. Now there are CEOs who work at 20% equity. So you have hardly remained an owner. You're not even the controlling board. You're not even calling the shots. Technically, you in the ROC website, in the registrar's office of companies, you are the owner technically, but you have no control over the business, because someone else is controlling the equity of the business. And as you know, in business, whoever controls the money, whoever controls the equity has the seat on the board. So they will decide your strategy, they will decide your talent, they will decide whether you need more money, they will bring their own CEO, they will bring their own talent. So you started as an owner, but because you were hungry for growth, because your growth was blinded, you were blinded with growth, because growth for that entrepreneur was more of an ego, more of the nostalgia of growth, that I will become big, I will raise money. They made all the wrong moves. They didn't have to grow, or that growth was not profitable, and they actually started becoming it. They came in a vicious cycle. Then they raised more money in Series B funding, and then they lost money, and then they again raise money in Series C. So you have to remember, every time that you raise money, you lose equity, you dilute your equity. So if you're a business owner, if you need to put money in your business, then only take money. Otherwise, walk a balance between losing control, which is losing equity, and scaling up. So you have to walk a balance. I know billion-dollar businesses also today where the owners still have 51% equity because they have gone, in a proper way. They have grown, but they have not diluted their equity. There is no point of being an entrepreneur and being actually working as an employee. Because if you lose equity, you are like an employee. But for namesake, you are an entrepreneur. So losing control is very important. So never lose control in the business. You have to be, as I said, on the driver's seat. Someone else cannot be driving your car. You cannot be a hitchhiker. You cannot be a pillion rider. You have to be sitting as a CEO of the company, as an owner of the company, as a promoter of the company. You have to be on the steering wheel.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. Another question from this itself. What is the correct ratio, or how do we identify as an entrepreneur where should we stop on giving away the control and taking the control in our hands? As in, what is the right balance, or how to create the right balance between equity and the funding?
See, these things in business, it's not a formula. Some owners I know are happy in scaling slowly. They want to go to a geography. For example, they start with Gurgaon. They want to become market leaders in Gurgaon first before they start going to Delhi or Bombay or Bangalore and all that. They want more depth. They want to be a market leader because remember, it's easier to become a market leader in one geography. So you can really keep your costs down because you have to look at what is your market share. I know many people who are at a 2% market share, but their market is, they are 2% in their market. For example, if they're in Delhi or they're in Bangalore, they have a 2% market share in Delhi, Bangalore, because you have to see in your market how much market share. But they want to go to 20 cities. When 98% of the market is still vacant, it makes no strategic sense to go to 10 markets because you have to first go deep rather than going wide. So there is no thumb rule. Look at the cash flows of your business. Think if you're going to ramp up your business, if you're raising, for example, $20 million or raising $10 million, which is roughly around 80 crore rupees or 100 crore rupees, what that 100 crore will be, make a plan for that 100 crores. Where will you spend that 100 crores? Will you spend it on marketing? Do you want to employ more people? Are you paying it for capex, which is the capital expenditure? Are you spending that money for your cash flows? Are you spending that money as working capital? Are you spending that money to open 100 centers? Are you spending that money to pay people because you have not paid people for last 2 years? Now you're raising money to pay your employees. Where is that 100 crores going to go? Show that plan, show that cash flow, show that profit and loss statement. Let's see the data and then let's talk whether your business needs growth or your business needs consolidation, or you need to first go lean before going broad. There is a concept of lean management. You can still be lean and you can grow broad, right? So you don't need to, growth doesn't mean you can have millions of customers. Facebook has millions of customers without actually having any investments, right? So your business model should have scale, but your unit cost should keep on going down. As I said, it has to have reach and magnitude. So we have to see the plan. We have to see the business plan where the entrepreneur wants to spend money. If he wants to raise money, he should be telling the venture capitalist where he wants to invest that money. That's very important. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we'll just take a last question as per our time. The last question is talking about, the person is asking about, can you tell us about the different stages of business?
Different stages of business in the sense?
In the sense of scaling up.
Yeah, so business starts, basically you have a great idea. Your idea is marketable. You think your idea, you can monetize on your idea. You feel that there is a market for your idea. You're solving a problem in the market. For example, pick up a company like Swiggy. They knew no one comes home. People can't go out to buy food every time, and they have to go to different restaurants. So they thought, oh, let's come home, but we'll give options. Customer will decide the restaurant where he wants the food. We'll just deliver it to him. So customer today has a lot of options. I can tell Swiggy, I want something from Motiram Deluxe, or I want something from McDonald's, or I want something from KFC, Swiggy will pick it up from these outlets and bring it to me. So I don't want to talk to 20 customers. So Swiggy saw that customer need, and all Swiggy did was to bring it home. And Swiggy made a profit in that business. So first thing is whether your idea has a market, whether you're trying to solve a pain. I think solving a pain is very important. Your business should be able to solve a need, should be able to solve a pain which has not been addressed. Even today, maybe even big companies may be doing something, but probably they're not addressing a pain. For example, we are in a pandemic. People don't want to go out. People are still going out for 10 things. Can a business come home and give that? We know grocers are doing it. We know Amazon is doing it. We know food people are doing it. We know chemists are doing it. But there could be others who could be doing it. You know what I'm saying? So look at the pain and then build on that. And I said, go slow. When you're going from 0 to 4, you go slow. First, dominate a market. Do well in that market. Do well financially in that market. Show the green shoots. Because then if you show the results, then anyone will be able to invest money on your business because you're showing him traction. You're showing him the proof of concept. So the first step is to show the proof of concept. Then once the business is showing symptoms that it can be scaled up, and if it scales up, it will multiply and everyone will be able to make money and you will get a better valuation because you have to get better valuation. Entrepreneurship is now becoming a valuation game actually these days because entrepreneurs want to exist after 10 years or 15 years or even 5 years. So you have to see that feasibility right in the beginning stage itself from 0 to 5. And if you have shown from 0 to 5 your business is profitable, then people will put money on your business. Then you can grow from 5 to 20. Then all you have to do is do the same thing, but do it in a much bigger scale. If you are a great restaurant making the best burger, then make burgers in thousands of markets because you've already done well in a city.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for a wonderful Q&A session, and thank you very much for this amazing and insightful session. Thank you to all the viewers as well. We will be back in the next episode of Mentored on 17th June, and the workshop will be conducted on the topic Step-by-Step Approach for Digital Marketing Automation. So see you then. Till then, thank you once again and have a very good day.